Long ago, in a small village hidden at the edge of a great green forest, something strange happened. The wind was still. The animals were quiet. And high above, the moon turned red, like fire in the sky. The elders called it the blood moon, a sign that something powerful was about to enter the world. That night, in a small mud hut with a thatched roof, a baby girl was born. Her name was Nyah. But Nyah was no ordinary child. As soon as she opened her eyes, a small glowing flame appeared, floating gently above her head. It danced like a candle in the wind, but it didn't burn her. Not her soft hair, not her tiny blanket, not even the straw roof above. Just a warm, steady flame. Her mother was shocked. Her father fell to his knees. Outside, the red moon watched in silence. Word spread quickly. "A baby with fire on her head," shouted one man. "The chosen one," cried an old woman. But others shook their heads. "That fire is not normal," they whispered. "It's a curse. She'll bring trouble." Half the village called her a blessing. The other half called her a curse. But her parents, poor farmers who had waited many years for a child, held her close and said, "No matter what the world says, she is ours, and we will protect her." They didn't know what the fire meant. They didn't know why it had chosen her. But deep in their hearts, they felt it. This girl was born for something greater. And her flame was only the beginning. Nyah was no longer a baby. She was growing fast, taller, stronger, curious about the world. But as she grew, so did the fire above her head. It changed with her feelings. When she was happy, the flame danced lightly like the sun shining through leaves. But when she was angry, scared, or sad, the fire flared up, bright and wild, like a storm. The other children stayed far away. Some stared. Some ran. "Which child?" they whispered. "Don't touch her or you'll burn." Even the adults lowered their voices when she passed by. "She's dangerous," they muttered. "She's not like us." Nyah heard every word. She saw the way people looked at her, like she was something to fear, not someone to know. One afternoon, when she was about 8, a boy from the village threw a stone at her. He laughed and shouted, "Firehead!" Nyah screamed. Her flame exploded, whoosh. It caught the edge of a dry bush nearby. Smoke rose. People shouted. Water was thrown. The fire was small and quickly put out, but the fear was not. That night, Nyah sat by the river, crying. Her mother knelt beside her. "You are not the fire, my child, but you must learn to guide it." Her father placed his hand on her shoulder. "Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly. Hold the fire inside, like a lantern, not a wildfire." And so, every day they taught her. Breathe. Focus. Calm the flame. It wasn't easy. Sometimes the fire flickered. Sometimes it flared. But little by little, she began to control it. One day, as she sat under a large tree, a blind woman with white hair walked toward her. Her name was Zara. She seemed to know exactly who Nyah was. With a soft, cracked voice, she said, "Child, that which burns above you must first burn within you. Learn your fire, or it will burn more than just the forest." And just like that, she walked away. Nyah didn't fully understand, but her heart knew. The flame was not just magic. It was a test, and if she didn't master it, It might destroy everything she loved. The skies grew quiet. The clouds stopped coming. And the river, the great river that fed the village, stopped singing. It dried up. The fish were gone. The crops turned brown. The earth cracked under the hot sun. People prayed, but no rain came. The village elders gathered under the big Iroko tree. They looked at the sky. Then they looked at Nyah. "This drought," one of them said, "is no accident." Another whispered, "The gods are angry. The fire girl is the sign." Some villagers nodded in fear. Others stared at her with cold eyes. Nyah's chest tightened. She didn't know what to say. The flame above her flickered, confused, restless, just like her heart. That night, Nyah couldn't sleep. She sat alone, watching the stars. Suddenly, her flame grew brighter, warmer. It pointed toward the forest. A voice whispered in her mind, "Go." Without a word, she stood up and followed the flame. It lit her path through the trees, deeper than she'd ever gone before. The forest was quiet. Not even the birds sang. After hours of walking, she reached a rocky hill covered in vines. At the base, she found a narrow cave, dark and cold. But as she stepped inside, the flame on her head shone like a torch. She followed it into the darkness until the tunnel opened wide. And there, hidden deep inside the earth, was something ancient and powerful. A fire shrine, carved with symbols, surrounded by stones that glowed like embers. In the center, a broken bowl of ashes. As Nyah stepped forward, her flame roared, higher, brighter than ever before. The air buzzed with energy. Then she heard a voice. It came not from the cave, but from the fire itself. "You were born not to carry fire, but to become it." Nyah gasped. Her heart pounded. For the first time, she wasn't afraid. In that moment, she knew. Her fire wasn't just something to control. It was something to understand. And the answers lay far deeper than she had ever imagined. The fire shrine had spoken. Nyah knew what she had to do: face the fire or be swallowed by it. The next morning, as the sun rose pale and weak, Nyah returned to the shrine with a calm she had never felt before. Waiting for her at the mouth of the cave was the blind woman, Zara. "You've been called," Zara said, her voice low and full of wind. "Now you must choose. If you pass the trial, your fire will grow. If you fail, it will leave you." Nyah nodded. "I'm ready." Zara led her to the center of the shrine. The ground shook gently. The cave walls glowed. 3 paths opened before her, each lit by a different light, red, gray, and gold. "Walk through all 3, Zara whispered. "Only then will you know who you truly are." First, the flames of memory. Nyah stepped into the red path. At once, she was back in her childhood, standing alone while the other children laughed and ran away. She saw the boy throw the stone, heard the cruel whispers. Witch, monster, curse. The flame above her head flared as if it felt her pain. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she whispered. But even as the memories burned, she didn't run. She stood tall, letting the fire burn the past, not her. Second, the ash of self-doubt. The gray path was cold, full of smoke and silence. Nyah walked slowly. Her flame dimmed. In the shadows, voices echoed. "You're too dangerous. You will never be normal. You are the reason the river died. Her knees buckled. She almost turned back. Then she remembered her parents' voices. You are not the fire, but you must guide it. She placed her hand on her chest. I'm still here, she whispered. I'm still burning. And with that, her flame glowed once more. Third, the spark of truth. The final path shone gold. In the middle of it, she saw a vision, a field of dry crops, and her fire spreading across it. But instead of burning the plants, the flame brought life, green leaves, fresh water, new hope. She saw children laughing beside her, people clapping as she lit lamps with her hands. A village no longer afraid. Her flame was no longer wild. It was warm, strong, and beautiful. Then she heard the voice again. You were born to be the fire that guides, not the fire that destroys. When Nyah stepped out of the cave, the sun hit her face, and everyone gasped. Her flame was still there, but it no longer floated wild above her head. Now, it rested like a crown of light, calm, glowing, regal. Zara smiled. You have passed. Nyah smiled back. She hadn't just survived the fire. She had become it. Nyah walked back to the village as the sky turned red with the setting sun. But this time, she was different. Her flame no longer flickered wildly above her head. It no longer burned with fear or anger. It glowed, soft, steady, and golden, like a crown of light. When the villagers saw her, they gasped. Some stepped back in fear. Others whispered, unsure of what they were witnessing. Then the village elders approached. Their faces, once stern and doubtful, were now filled with uncertainty. The drought has worsened, one elder admitted. The river is dry, the land is dying. If the gods sent you, then show us your purpose. Nyah did not speak. She only turned toward the great sacred tree, the oldest tree in the village, its leaves brown and lifeless from the drought. She reached out her hand. Her flame flickered, then leaped forward, not in destruction, but in warmth. The fire touched the tree, and the sky roared. A deep rumble echoed across the land. Then, drip, drip, raindrops. Soft at first, then faster. The earth sighed as the rain poured down, soaking the dry soil. The villagers lifted their hands in wonder. Then something even more miraculous happened. Nyah's fire spread, not wildly, not hungrily, but gently, across the dead crops. Where the flames touched, the plants turned green again. Flowers bloomed. The land was not burning, it was reviving. The people fell to their knees. The elders bowed their heads. One of them, the very man who had called her a curse, now looked at her with tears in his eyes. We were wrong. His voice cracked. We feared what we did not understand. Nyah looked over the village, the same place that once rejected her, the place that once called her dangerous. But now they looked at her not with fear, but with faith. She stepped forward, raised her chin, and spoke. Fire teaches, she said. It burns the lie, but it warms the truth. She reached down, touching the wet earth. I was never meant to destroy. I was meant to bring light. The villagers wept. They cheered. They called her by a new name, the Flame of the Village. And from that day forward, Nyah was no longer feared. She was honored. From that day on, Nyah was no longer the girl with fire. She was known as the Flamekeeper, the guardian of the village, the bringer of balance. The crops grew strong under her warmth. The rains came when the sacred tree glowed. And most importantly, the people no longer feared the fire. They learned from it. Nyah spent her days teaching the villagers, not just how to live with fire, but how to understand their own fire within. To the brave, she taught patience. To the frightened, she taught courage. To the angry, she taught calmness. To the proud, she taught compassion. Children followed her everywhere, their eyes wide with wonder. One little girl, no older than 6, tugged at Nyah's robe one evening and asked, "Doesn't the fire hurt sometimes?" Nyah knelt down, her flame glowing softly above her. She smiled gently. "Only when I forget who I am." The child blinked. "And who are you?" Nyah stood slowly, her voice clear and steady. "I am not just the fire. I am the one who carries it, with care, with purpose, and with heart." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Nyah walked to the edge of the village. A path stretched ahead, quiet, unknown, waiting. She took a step forward, then another. Her flame lit the way, and behind her, others began to follow, some with lanterns, some with courage, and some with little sparks of their own beginning to glow. Because Nyah's greatest gift was not just her fire. It was showing others how to carry their own. Final words / moral message, voiceover. True responsibility is not just carrying power, but knowing when and how to use it. Like fire, we all carry something powerful inside. The question is, will we let it burn wild, or will we let it light the way? The end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.